me sound me ma akwa ba de oba channel ne so subscribe like na share enfama me maye monitor na nsema beka yensa no yendwudwemo enfama mfi kakra ni na Anas yes oye an investigation with his team Tiger Eye no mo ye wie no na Kennedy Agyapong so be si akire na say who watches the watchman and also investigation oye kama e the video ba bontin be yi won 2 TV mo bia pukohwe bi na no na Anas ti Kennedy Agyapong court US court batana transiama waboa asem no na oboa asem ni nyina wie na so odi asem ni nyina wie no Kennedy Agyapong former MP edima asin not wedi nchu yes we lose case no na eno na Kevin Taylor atransi edwudwan asem no mu baako eno san frɛ Anas lawyer ni baako a oye genani a ogiremu oye young guy ogiremu ma Anas momudi nkunim no osan frɛ no ma kyerɛkyerɛ nsemu emaye mempese metuecha waso nintiro mo ma yen kwohwe
to make it easy for us. We are one of the lawyers for Anas, and I want to state again Udini Evans Selassie Adika, renowned lawyer. Bepacho, can you run us through how it started and how we got to know today say a judgment in the New Jersey court? Abba.
Okay, Mr. P. You know, the interesting thing is, I quite remember that you were sued in the U.S. sometime in 2021.
Yes.
And that actually caused my clients to begin inquiring about possibly if there's if there was anything out there, whether it will be actionable in the U.S. So you have some significance to today's events. So shortly after, when you were going through your motion to dismiss, we actually took a keen interest in that case and reviewed all the pleadings. And during that time also, my client informed me of a video that was circulating on social media. I just say, and someone just like what kind about my client. So, like, you know, as the intellectuals that we are, we started opening the books and try to see where we can lay a claim. And so, interesting enough, I mean, after reviewing the video, I you know, in our training, there's something that we are taught. So, in your case, case, no, it has to pass the test, and the case has to stand on all fours, which means that you do an analysis of whether there's jurisdiction in place, whether you have all the elements of each claim that you want to bring, you know. So we went through all of that, and my conclusion was yes, on the basis of video now, my client is send them, you know. You jina so you tweet back court New Jersey. Yes, and say yeah, papa no video no so yeah, papa na and the numun sam say or kase free fee New Jersey. Now when you say you move for so no the diaspora is very important. Obviously, what you do is testament to that fact. And you know, there was an audience that he spoke to. We're Ghana for. They all take a keen interest in the happenings in Ghana, especially the politics in Ghana. So we thought, you know, there was solid grounds for us to be in the court in New Jersey. So I advised my clients accordingly. Now, when you say a lawyer. So obviously, he was an integral part of what was going on in the preparatory stage. At that time, I am a U.S. trained lawyer, but I currently only practice in Ghana. And you know, there was a team of us. I'd like to say congratulations to my learned colleague Oded Crow. He was a part of yes, he was counsel of record in Ghana. So I pulled him into the research, and we drafted a complaint. And like Mekai also a lawyer, so we did the work, and he actually filed it himself. So you know, after the preliminary back and forth, you know, initially the case was we sued in 2022.
Okay. Yes.
We filed suit sometime, I think.
The complaint.
Yeah, sometime, I think, in the summer of 2022.
May 17th, 2022.
Yes. And you know, by law, no, there was a period by which Papa no Anka was or responded with what is known as an answer. But so Papa no one file response and my case no call into default. Now after a period of default, you can actually go for judgment. Now a case near file, we filed on 3 counts. But I couldn't say or say a chrome or a chrome 4. The second one was or you would in terms of onuna or behind the medal of Yenuya Ahmed Swale.
Yeah.
Now the third one so say Yenuya no a serial killer in terms of Woku Chinese for Bibribi Ghana. And then the fourth one is or a criminal, a blanket word criminal. And then the fifth one by implication or say onuna behind Woody Sembiana, that means say Abiana and no a trigger man and I no will be second and I say perform the physical act that led to the foreseeable events, which is Obi a. So we also included a count that he is that he claims that my client a co-conspirator in multiple serial killings. So that was basically the gravamen of our complaint. And when it went on undefended after the response time now, we began to make preparations to move for judgment. But being that I was in Ghana and we are all based in Ghana, we reached within our network and we partnered with 2 brilliant lawyers who I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate. Okay. Atawemega Esquire, he was the father figure of the team of lawyers, and a brilliant trial lawyer by the name of Andrew Dehere. These are all brilliant Ghanaian lawyers on this case. And, at that point, we recruited them as counsel of record. And, the case went, at that point, Kennedy's lawyers came in, obviously, because near Beji judgment for the full $30 million. And so he had counsel, and counsel came and also did his thing. Reopen default, they argued that they had a solid defense. And I think right around then, and I almost got judgments from Ghana, almost really see it. And I know so say almost defense to a case I because New Jersey.
But Ghana, so case no
exactly.
Almost case. Okay.
So as defense against, but the interesting thing is that the defamation sits here say kind of the work of court it's a separate case.
Yeah.
Into no to mean to Ghana and family defending way, you still have to prove the truth of it. And this time, in this jurisdiction, the law is the same essentially because Ghana but you sound so free other countries. There are certain times that even though of presidential value, I just said, judge into me so India, but we to me the two na senior or the two especially in cases maybe you decided that type of a case. And Emrano is the same as Ghana. Procedurally, there are certain nuances. Sometimes in terms of certain dates, you have to do certain things by. And also in New Jersey, Emra drafted complaints. We were fully aware that we were required to prove what we were claiming by a higher standard than in Ghana.
Yeah.
Yes. In this case, not even that. In this case, we were required to prove our case not by the normal civil standard, but by a clear and convincing evidence standard. Okay. And they responded with that, and they were able to successfully reopen the default, which paved way for them to file an answer. And they filed an answer which essentially claimed that there was some sort of back and forth between him and Anas. And we took it for what it's worth, and we forged on. And we finally got our trial date sometime earlier this year, and it was postponed. And then we finally went to trial last Monday. We started trial on Monday, and we put up our case. My client testified. He testified. He brought other witnesses, and after listening to both sides. The difference between what happened with Ghana and see Johannes said no no trial by jury into no any judge or judge back one I say judge me no one I say judge me and send a bidi asem but normal people on the streets of New Jersey, tax-paying citizens, and two and from. In this case, we started off with veneer. That's the technical word for when the prospective jurors are brought in. We're from a veneer. The veneer of 60 citizens, tax-paying citizens of the state of New Jersey, specifically Newark, New Jersey, and its surroundings, were brought in, and after what is known as Boadaya, which is the process by which they are questioned to see if they have any sort of bias or anything that will stand
for Ghana for your vetiomo. Say
yeah, vetiomo just say obi nim asem hu bia na so onimu bia asem we fan ho ana say obi wo hwa bia nyame bi osom no so we went through all of that. That was day one. That took from area to the end of the day. And so on Tuesday, we came to court and we had our opening statements. They had their opening statements. And then we proceeded to put on our evidence. And at the close of the evidence, the jury was instructed, Judge, in this case, Judge, Ometro Emrano. Na Omodiama, jury, no Ometro Mumu, King Kanachro first. So paper inside. Ako decide the different deliberations. Me nim dey say no can trim but me sure say make almost pensing okay. 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 And you know, there are some more about Thursday about 4:30. Yeah, the church room running now, and there are some more 4:30. Into now, I say we be an 4:30. No, caught a pump right around that time, which is I believe consistent with the practice in I know it's consistent with the practice in Ghana. Into no, no cry. I just so you could be at Nana. Take a deep breath and reflect on what has transpired during the past 4 days. And about 20 minutes later, we got word that the jury. So as part of the defense, I think it's only fair that Meka charges counts now at the buy and the civil claims now at the buy. His defense was also although Oka said it was some sort of just based banter between him and Uniano, he came to court and asserted truth as his defense. And so
time I court and say sa counting na mode bono no say on Anas back and forth, right? The only claim of making or say banter. I just say we can't wait to and share or no, they're not all can you say obi to be more almost tomorrow.
But all you do court media that was not
and your son of okay, Ura court no G2.
Yeah, be or maintaining the position say no can originate or down standing by no kind.
Okay.
Basically, remember just or practice no crane di no onye boni bia.
Okay.
So to support that, or the movie you try or in it too, who watches a watchman. But the announced by as on only defense, and so the jury had the opportunity to evaluate that and factored that in the analysis. And obviously, it was not the weight that they wanted the jury to accord with. So jury never bugui. About 20 minutes later, the jury came back with a verdict, and there were a multiplicity of very quick. And there was a multiplicity of questions that were posed to the jury. That's the way how they arrived at the decision. It's and also unanimous. People who were picked off the streets of not picked off the streets of New Jersey, but they're from based on address, voter registration data. And but within 20 minutes, they saw through everything and said no. So they came back and there was not even one juror that sided with Yapapana Samuakam.
All against
8-0 on every count and on every question that was posed to the jury, including damages now about no be doing and also cry no there was a unanimous decision. I just say it was a solid decision of the jury. 20 minutes no take down say there was no doubt in our presentation to what you kind of lay people. These are not experts in the law.
Yeah, they are just
these are lay
people who just sat and used their common sense to come to a conclusion.
No. I would not say use their. I would not say use their common sense.
They listen to you and they listen to the other part. It makes sense though.
And then the law, the law is the law. No judge in this world has any power to bend the law. That sort of conduct is what causes strife and war in places.
Yeah.
America had the judge actually before the judge kind jury instruction, but catch jurors and say, oh no. Only to be a Asɛm na edwuma kwa obetuma ne say obeka mra achiro mo achiro mo. And that's how it went. But you know what's interesting about CNN no? Or a lawyer ni ono so ni medwuma pa contrary even though people don't give him credit for that.
At least Bonidina muhu Anas asem na working.
But Anas, Anas. Also a very astute lawyer. Only mumrapa, new beer, your dream, and some people walk cry on Jim Tumu, but sometimes a team of legal team to we come to a compromise. Now, he has been adamant about clearing his name because I have a personal experience of understanding. It's one of the worst things that can happen to someone.
Yeah.
And he absolutely took the position there. He wanted a trial. He's not interested in any settlement. He's not here for the money. He's here to clear his good name that he has built over time. And in his profession, at this time, Anka also started doing one. So he always maintained that he wanted a trial to the point where sometimes there was a disagreement in the legal team. Now, procedurally, America, the peace. Said that schedule there, and from this time to this time, can you support staff that work out we are dedicating it to your case. It's no small matter.
I know. I've been there. It's not easy.
Before they will go to trial, there's mandatory settlement conference. I bet say this maybe by this time we'll be say grown. Or they'll commit to the rights and senses and decide, say, this shouldn't go on because, yes. And I acquire, unfortunately, me, Anas disagreed with me, but I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million, just like the jury came back. As you know, in these days, we have all kind of tools that we can use to predict certain things.
Before you go ahead, this is where the contention is, and people saying 80 million, others saying a year 30 million. Now when you read,
well, we'll come to that. Let me clarify. Let me just clarify.
Yeah.
Okay. Complaints there the coin. Yeah, claim for $30 million, $30 million.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And what I'm saying is that at the before the mandatory settlement conference, or before the jury is empaneled, even though my client had firmly informed me he had no intention of settling this case because he believes that he ought to go to a jury of his peers to clear his name. But maybe let's just prepare our settlement memorandum, be thorough and be reasonable.
Yeah.
And even though he protested, I prepared a settlement memorandum that sought to settle this case for $18 million US. Okay. Now you do settlement conference, papa about court. Now the lawyer say what he was willing to settle this matter for, and he said $10,000. So honestly,
it's clarification is very, very important. Normally Ghana.
Okay.
Into Muko Drew Hono. Anas initially, you have a kind of simple street language, and the damages are not paid around $30 million. And the client and Anas Kasa say, a woman saw for $30 million, and yes, he can't all pay. In fact, he wants his name to be cleared, and then the priority of going to court.
Yes.
But because of the experience, now unim sibi anyomate no, uno client here and ask Kasai and say, it would be better and to be reasonable to at least settle on $80 million. And I'll say, Okra no client and ask no, you did not really agree, but because he respects you as his counsel and as a lawyer, no, you people ended up around that money, around that figure, which is $80 million.
Oh yeah, like I said, your lawyer at a Wemega, New York.
Oh, yeah.
And also come home. And Andrew D here.
Yeah, you are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Wemega is there.
Yes,
D here is there. Crow is there. Yourself. Basically, as we are speaking to you, we are speaking to all of them because.
Yes. So, the whole team agreed on that, but he was the only reluctant one in settling the matter. But procedurally, we couldn't go to trial without actually going through to the settlement conference.
Yes.
In spite of his reservations, we still almost cut our demand down to about a little over half.
Okay.
But to our surprise, $10,000 to end the case. No. I want to arbitrate and who said no, some way I'm sure so I can papers, So he said basically go and take your gamble in the courtroom. So that's how we ended up going to trial. So to go back to how it ended, so at about 4:50 on Thursday. And the jury brought us in and they told us what unanimously what they had arrived at. But we decided to keep it under wraps because there was a component you multiply 18 million by 5 money do 90 million for a total of about
the plan.
Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, because
to do that. Okay.
Yes. And then you decided to say back to your board with coming public with the finding of culpability on Thursday.
Yeah.
We ended up leaving that alone. A pursuit of ×5 because almost file emotions be I just say or see a two a boss na in terms of that and say one way or another I could pursue that ×5 and I say depending on what happens, maybe I bet me German and cafe. But at this time, almost my court no say almost into swore.
Okay. So at this point, my court who say on 80 million or almost pentiswo. How many days do they have to file that? Okay.
So at this point, the next thing that's going to happen is that there's going to be a paper. A judgment. I just say court ruling seal better so.
Yeah.
That will take a few days, and then after that, I believe there's a 5-day rule that's within which you can file that motion. So a bay motion, appeal by appeal depending on how that motion goes.
Okay.
We will get a chance. We may get a chance to attempt to get our ×5 of that 18 million, or a big So depending on how that motion goes.
So for now,
yes.
18 Obintiminka said that is the end of the case. It depends.
No, it's not because hypothetically, we still have the opportunity to go for ×5.
That is 50. Okay.
Yeah, into extra 50 plus. Yeah, hypothetically, so much so back 10 we can go for another ×5.
You as a Ghanaian and also a lawyer and defending a fellow lawyer who is a journalist. This has been an experience. Do you want to share something with us when it comes to these kind of defamations and how comparing our judicial system back home and in the States? I'm not forcing you to condemn any, but I'm trying to find out from you. There are so many people in Ghana, they don't really understand how the American judiciary works because we are so used to the Ghana style of judiciary whereby things go a certain way. And I would say sometimes very, very slow. And sometimes you need to know something for even things to move the pace you want. In terms of how this case, how fluid it went, and comparing it to back home. I'm saying back home because I am more concerned back home And especially when Kennedy presented a case we knew fear, which is the same defamation case, and he tried to use that as a basis that what he did was right. From your experience as a professional, what have you I don't want to say what have you learned. What have you what do you want to share something with us before you go?
Yeah. Me percent me share all the young people in Ghana, me show them crying say yeah. Now the country is a young country. So I tend not to criticize too strongly. But Oman and young people need to take their rightful position in the country, because you know, my only thing is that the young people see that it's wrong, or they know it's wrong, they need to stand up for their rights. The country is still young, so I would not be pointing any fingers at anybody. But me American, I'm cool school from high school. I lawyer, and you know, I know America very well. And for the past 7 years, I was licensed in Ghana in 2014, and I've been practicing actively for the last 7 years in Ghana. See, I know the problems that we face. I wouldn't. I think it's a systemic problem that allows people to hide in there to sort of engage in certain conduct that because democracy, you know, say the system, justice system, if it does not guarantee justice, and then one day, you know, there's going to be a problem. And you know, I like to direct my comments to all young politicians, those who have entered the fray, you know, about 40 and less, you know. Let's not, if we see things that are not right, let's not say because you benefited from it because your party we want to say party we you know, we're going to condone it. We all need to make sure that we are contributing to building a Ghana that we can all live in. And you know, I would like to end on that. The system is not perfect. There are many things that we can do to also improve it. I will not talk about the substance of some of the things, but I also think the judiciary in Ghana is burdened with a lot of work. There are certain things that exist here in the US that they don't have, that perhaps need to be implemented. Some of these judges in this country, in the US, are ably assisted by law clerks who help them lessen their burden. But like I said, the young people in Ghana, we need to look at ourselves, because I've had judges tell me, say, I've suggested that, and I've had judges tell me, say, oh no, if a young person cry, but an office on your who want to leaky judgment at Jiska before the judgment is granted. So I will not be pointing fingers at, what happened in Ghana was a travesty of justice. I'll say that without mincing words.
The defamation, now Kennedy Winnie.
Absolutely, because I'm now a solid, which back to the maybe I can say. Before a court can pronounce someone as a criminal, there ought to be a due process ought to be followed. And I have a publication that is going to come out on this subject in a very near future. For the courts to have called my client a criminal without giving him a criminal trial was a travesty of justice. And the court in New Jersey rightfully classified that as obiter is dicta. It can never be a criminal conviction.
So that
because one of the things
that was how the court in New Jersey, the Superior Court in New Jersey, actually addressed that particular.
Yes, because the will be criminal. The will be criminal. You can bring proof to say the person has been adjudged to be a criminal. You understand? So the Ghana judgment by court jurors when we brought a police clearance certificate at CID headquarters through the proper normal channels, we got it. It was sealed before we brought it to court, and that was giving more credence than what the judge said about Anas being a criminal, because that is the right thing.
How do you feel as a Ghanaian lawyer, a young Ghanaian lawyer standing before a U.S. judge, making a statement like this from a court in Ghana? How I feel it's quite embarrassing.
you know, like I said, our country is growing. We are the US is 200 and something years old. We are 60 something years old. So I like to always look at things from an optimistic standpoint. I hope that this is going to be a lesson, because Ghana is not Oman Bia Oman Kitwa. Euros no munim Ghana. Ubanu just by dint of even some of your papa no cry motna hano amount for nim Ghana. Ufa Uber Krumwa. I remember say in the middle of the trial, Uber Bia driver na catch him say, "I'm for Ghana tourism country." You know, Mano is young, but it's a country that we all need to protect and we need to guard zealously. And that starts from the delivery of justice, because no one should have to feel that they need to go outside the four corners of Ghana to get justice. Justice emanates from the people, and we have enough people in Ghana. Because I saw say recently, judges know. They are educating people about the jury system. As part of our civic responsibility, it will also go a long way, along with amending laws to allow more juror participation in different kinds of cases now.
Lawyer Evans Selassie Adeka, Asɛm Mpɛ Nipa. So thank you very much, and I'll also say thank you to your colleagues that helped. In this case, Andrew De Gea, also Arthur Wemega Esquire, and Aday Crow. I would like to say I really appreciate your time. You've educated us and also made things very clear to Ghanaians.
I'd like to point something else. So there were a few things that I think I glossed over. I think I told you said the threshold that we had to meet in the US was much higher than in Ghana. And in that regard, one of the allegations that was made, say you are a serial killer in terms of multiple Chinese. What was appalling, and say video proof say proof say I'll be stand say Chinese for video it was an embarrassment, because it do some video be I mean say preko na you na mo ya hangi wo onu say onko aboa o hangi ma moja no so ne no
and no be sure say
menim say no kwemu ni minti na nka cho say no ana say minum adekode, but it was definitely what he said he was going to produce, and I think that really disgusted the jury, because and it's not something to accuse someone of likely.
Thank you very much for clarifying this. Evan Selassie Adeka Esquire, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate every single minute you've shared with us here. At least, they are way out to rest for now. From your explanation on that's a case we enya end there. The response from the defendant, Kennedy Agyapong, the lawyers, so we're waiting for them to also file what they have to file. Now, I share where it goes from where we are now.
And just to clarify, any response, so Omono and Kanaya Baba times 5 for no.
Yeah.
The assembly attitude, just say, yeah, no person much. Now, for the sake of transparency, no be in that time now, or yes, we be yano na almost them there, judging better so. The almost them when you're dance why, we did 18 na decided say, we have some decisions to make. What I say, na kwa appeal, but the thing is appeal, the difficulty is appeal no US no. Answer no be appeal, he needs to put the full $18 million down in a bond. Answer no be file appeal no. And we Bob Bryant today, I'm sure say depending on how that goes, we have the prerogative of deciding say we ever go for times 5 based on that 18 million if it stands, and I say almost so bad hypothetically even 10 and I say 12 krana will still decide to say was or bar up with a nice offer, so be Canana. I'm not saying because I told you union or no Kuranadrian or no so a lawyer, we'll work on we'll entertain that and decide say okay, ebia ebeje no mu a yenko pesa times 5 no ana say baka say chinchina e bakwa koje times 5 no. Because there are certain other things that happen. There are certain things that also happen that will influence our decision one way or another.
Yeah. Lawyer, we will be on standby. And I know, sir,
okay.
Baby Ano, we will come back for more clarification and education. We really appreciate you very much. Evans Salasi Adeka Esquire. He has been our guest. He is one of the lawyers of Alnas Arim Yao Anas. Wachech and Senu Ejujum Emagana for Ehuno Kreno. I really want to say thank you very much to a year lawyer, Ivan Salasi, and the other lawyers or counsels that helped him, and I said Omoba together as a team to make sure Anas has a solid or had a solid legal team backing him. No, Mr. Arthur Wemega Esquire, he was part of the council Anas lawyers. No, Andrew here is also part of Anas legal team. No, and Odei Crow was part, and as you know, lawyer Ivan Salasi Adeka on your screen, he was also part of Anas legal team. No, so now my mentor they see what court and the pictures and the videos. So this is what happened in court. Kennedy Agyapong, you see during the hearing, no, Okojun saw 10 times. Obano anumusio Kennedy aye frail, aye mre. Onantia no aye say. Ohundi onfe. The nisu brino. Kennedy Agyapong, you see in the court. Insue otusu baba go no ada no Okojun so no aba. Sikeni bele. Junso hini aye esikeni bele. Otigana yenkana asɛm kwasi asɛm. And the America court, ye piano question down. We ought to be Ghana court, no did judge at them. Near so so, oh, Mr. Kennedy, oh, honorable. America court, pure water near 7. America court, Kennedy Agyapong, pure water near the man is a no, or to down Sakoko. My catch Ghana for. Sanko for Namosa so Ghana na, Obaba Muda Damono. They are nobody in America, they are nobody in Europe and America. They are nobody. And Akwa Kennedy was suppressing the power chronim, Ghana chronim. And or to down Yaman pure water. My mention more pictures from court today. We have a video. This is a year they see what court and Kennedy near na case in course not OTA. My mention Joe Marcus Yakisium, send a bear bloggers in Benya BBD. Kennedy near case na course on the a court. Kennedy Agyapong at one. The lawyer is in Trase, Omutumu se moya ding. $18 million a car at the Kennedy Tiriso. $18 million. Na no kasa. Any nyomebia oye. Otigana. Ena omu frustrating call for. Omu the court a popo call for. The same case in Ghana where we need Ghana judges a time case na man so we need. Obedru America or sad is our case now by say me win case no Ghana and America court said dabi. The na ekoso Ghana no sebio no mu bonkuru. This is Kennedy. The lawyer sorry kasa emfa. Boga yemre ye jujum me ma bloggers. The lawyers na kasa no e defend no emfa Kennedy so neto no ye piana shekona. Showdown, I am re. Showdown, etiquette, why din. Judge be anywhere o nimno. Eye clerk be anywhere o nimno. Bailiff be anywhere o nimno. Sa court way, enya ho na do you know who I am? Or do you know me? I say Yanka, do you know me? Do you know me? Haven't you heard about my name? If you don't take care, you take care. Sadia the Bini America court, e bini ho. It read my lips and then nakotna kwanchen where Superior Court of New Jersey and young kwanchen court. We any in some course or quarter me ma gallery nika kra. Akabo gankwa ne lawyer ba kono yehu me bia wafa. Enti ene da ho no New Jersey Superior Court Kennedy Agyapong ene yemia na hyenche no. Ontumi kasa boga yemre. Onim obi a akwakọ hunahuna no. Akoye, do you know me? Don't you know I am Akompre Kennedy Agyapong? Unim se me free fosu. I am the MPP financier. MPP financier ejuma ba enam da pono so nentwe na bo we also kwa wi akokokon Kennedy 18 million at that table so also per 9.5 million meme 9 million the other day nentwe na bo table no so no we are also pa akokokon and the anas akoku nentwe abro anas say 18 million nentwe we nentwe no bo we Kennedy ese ebe wi akokon ne kon obi say judgment today say na heaven be you ebeka obiane ne lawyer judgment today no heaven say ya o ebeka obiane ne lawyer but that's our lawyer ko fum na ka go out to war ai heaven say ya the be na obi can judgment today ebe say obiane ne lawyer otu awo so lawyers I'm urinating I'll be back fum no afa second door no awuram now that want to watch your lawyer judgment today say ya the be ebeka obiane ne lawyer okay we air court exclusive na me dem mamu no Kennedy Agyapong na to no ai e koso court wo orkodo 18 million showdown they twe na bo ho no Kennedy so pa akokokon in the showdown and ye piano kosi enchen momienko enim gallery na na koso no afera this aboga atene kire sa akonwa no so obi atene makotene kire na ese emu aye din boga kana no esi so read my lips boga reading lips no say oh so boga kana no esi so I say na say e ya giegu $18 million hit $18 million ya dia pim Kennedy wo so tua ana asekura mpo no me bo besia ana asekura me ho kire me ti besia also me bo besia pe 500k ma me fanya me nyoma anas utieti lawyers nyina wi a 500k die wan fama media me no ba ku bewu enti boga read my lips and waka lips na sisi no wakotena nchen why say you say ni bra ba media me yakote beka me kote ye and am the evidence be kiro because when you say ebi mo ho magimi Kevin Taylor boa otan Kennedy we anya me Kennedy asemo Kennedy ni Anas na Anas we ni $18 million they see o court no and am de kiro enye bosremu ka me ma blog is eduane edi Kennedy won sensem part 1 and 2 now koso Kennedy Agyapong nuana o ka se nka onko di MP no onie ono se ko court we see the trase e kaba akoko kontwa apetire ni tiesi form Kennedy nuane nie we na not radio so ye Kennedy will contest the 2028 elections onie we see the trase me bra die no akofa bein kakra ya isi ye nende o me rekoma Anas akudi ase no obema Kevin Taylor 500,000 enti Kennedy nuane nie we na okopri seat na ya nto ama no omo nka no kre de otieche o de minim ebia omabusu apanyi na sankofo no ebia omo wo eye African market ni bi no ai enti Kennedy nuane so nie we sini trase ye bo 18 million so no we sini trase se titi wo bi ka titi wo bi kire now Niniano still out to me say na why emre eduru baby no Kennedy nuano you can see amabaju krom nyiye pressure ba this year court season me so me ba be court omo defame me me lawyer defame me judge in America I am going to court of 18 at table so near the two contain near kataso and sanya kosha appeal no but for now the Kennedy beba abe den abe preka krasa ebia yente so yate so krampo no ebia media minim na ebia etiba bia 14 and also times e de ho nti hwe de besi o say ono client here Anas in decide here whether to apply for plus times 5 or times the no nti ene de yentumi nka ho asem say definite but the sija so de ka ho asem the sija so nyane say Kennedy Agyapong as we speak now, or the Anas Ayumia Anas ka $18 million. I was say offi. Also, ko church on krata bi diaba. No problem. Anas any lawyer say omo chain. Ya teso kra no. Yetumi teso kra bi $400. $18 million minus $400. Monya calculation na and Kennedy ntia de aka no. Inti say ya teso kra bi judge no. obeso otiso jury no na say 80 million ebia otiso $330 kra into 80 million minus $330 yen hwe de Kennedy betua eno so asem. Now let's enter the courtroom na yen hwe de see wo court and ewo courtroom New Jersey Kennedy Agyapong any Anas case na and Kennedy he needs to pay $18 million. 18. Remember, Kennedy did back court and also offered $9.5 million. I didn't Kennedy pen or Anas a double number Kennedy. Now Kennedy saw offered $9.5 million if you ho. And Anas I had a double 9.5 million amano. 80 Kennedy they now pen or Anas I had 2 amano. And then there was a Kennedy 2 Anas. Now court in summer a CNA and then Kenya show Mukra Moha Junior. Kennedy Agyapong obetua oska anasend ye ko Kennedy fui ba omi man kakra no so bi account say ose ba omi man $800 million onyim $80 million. Now see this when in summer is see your court dey bi am catch them. You see this particular guy na me catch him say mesiu no your friend Dada Fred. This guy many Kennedy work court no or the misinformations be to abontene. My legal team, no, they have put it together. And Anas Kennedy case, no, in court. These are part of the evidence. Anas team, no, the legal team, no, edit. This foolish man, your friend, that afraid, me a call. I will make sure to siko beti okroma no, ebe kuna to esikano, ebe hunu na obenum edulokunu. I am going to sue him. Now Kennedy case, no, this fool obemu. He was mentioned. And he is the tool. Any other foolish platforms, sir. Kennedy Agyapong, Eddie misinforming Ghana for. Anas na one fan corner so. Anas the Ujana Manekoye. But I am going to sue. Because time at Kennedy Agyapong, they be call court. I'm a winning case, no. Sa branch betina TV, so betina social media. You try tape sing in go. Catch we as say, judge no case, no. Judge na India 70 ye. Obeko court akuchirem. On never jina bon tebeka chenko for say, oh, case no, Kennedy winnie. Into today, I want him to know where Anas the case, no. And remember, on Kennedy Agyapong na Facebook and Ochantro, Mwamunim no. Mongan say Kevin Taylor say he is going to meet me in court in Massachusetts. I am taking it to him. Me say this time on Obiya beda. Because you want to say Yanyana sa in Kwasiafo system, anything that make catch boys be. Say munya munkwasa sana mu di no New York Street ni so a mu hu bebia mu bedi mu nkoma akọ me de unkwasa asem ne ba me so a I'll catch you from your hole and make sure the Lord deals with you. Into so become as making sure say on krata no bibia gina na so it mun send a message when come the Fred where Anas the case no he was part of the evidence Anas e the can case ho time a mimi case ne ba ye no sa Dada Fred wey o se kwasi ampanyi wey etna TV so otwa atro eto judge no so and most importantly, Ocha atro eto court no so. Not just a refi, no. Because I was waiting. I got my legal team to compile everything. And he needs to prepare himself for over $5 million. Yes, I am telling him. Some misinformation or best sending in public about a ruling from a federal court. Anything I'm in the picture to sono. Into more munim ni biamon kanjan say me, I am coming to him. Mima a little bit of it right after our case. Because I wanted my team to compile enough. It told that Fred, no. Anas the enemy. Anas share na one for one back or two. By you. Sansa no kafa judge na otina mimi case no so. Misinformation na o cartoon frame him. Efa meme ho time Anasa case no court. Obeba American court abechirem. And I will make sure say over $10 million, we may sue you. You need to get ready. You need to get a lawyer. You need to be ready for what is coming. Because you're boy who. We, your boy who. Into say, why ready? Say, oh, but missing for me. I be the Kennedy Agyapong. Wait for me because I'm coming with a 10 million suit. Me catch you. So get ready. Now, these are some of the things that happened in court. It be ready. We are coming to serve you. Me catch you because we are one person who catch you. Papa. On can kre. Penyina when you say koko tia woto wano se boto ase. Tete abroche kan kwasi asem twantro. Yene nkora yesusu a yebe chichire man no. Wenum bagaya se tratatai kekan kwasi asem Jimmy. O de wasema ko America judge so. Me share na me catch me team say they should be quiet. You know my lawyer. Obechira will be America. Krum hanya ode. What that afraid? One thing you need to take notice of. Anas was still wearing nose mask in court. But Oba Ghana, judge to meet Tinaka says Anas saying nose mask na yendi asem. You see the difference. You see how our judiciary in Ghana. You see how our judiciary in Ghana, how bad some of our judges are. The judge sitting in that courtroom in New Jersey is looking at the facts and evidence before him. How you dress to court is up to you. It is your presentation in court, how the jury will see you. Whether you wear a nose mask or not, at the end of the day, it is your case, the substantive case, your evidence is what they are looking at. Because they are dealing with the law. They are not looking at individuals. Anything Oba Krumha, the law itself is blind. It does not look at faces, background, economically where you are coming from, or financial, or whatever. It's looking at the case, the law. They are applying it. So whether somebody is dread, whether somebody is wearing a nose mask, whether somebody is wearing a face shield, what is more important to the jury and the judge is that look at the evidence before you. Look at it and apply the law and let's see. But don't say, Senya Omubu Asɛm Gu Anas so Ghana was that it wasn't the substantive issue Anas had brought to court. Anas trying to defend himself. In Ghana, the Edibuati Anas and say, yes, nose mask be, Anas face mask be. Say Anas say, yeah. That means Anas is guilty. This is where we are as a nation. Judge to me say, because of face mask, nose mask, because I want you to look in a certain way in my court. If you don't look that way, I am going to call you a criminal. I am going to label you a criminal. That is the danger in our judiciary. And that is what we need to look at. Are we looking at a substantive case that is before us as judges, as judiciary, or we are looking at the characters or the individuals standing before us? And when you go to Ghana, the judiciary today look at the people involved in the case than the case itself. And that is the beginning of our end. And that is what is running this country down. Our biggest problem in Ghana today is that when judges sit in courtrooms, they are looking at the individuals involved, not the substantive case before them. It is all come back now check it. Case I say Anas, Lucy against Techi against Kennedy Agyapong now. You will see, say, it is not about the evidence that was provided or was given in court. The judge now or the court case now Odi Asemno. He is looking more at how to unmask Anas. And this is how they have destroyed Ghana. Anas instructed to testify without mask. The evidence that has been provided, what do you need mask for? This is Ghana court. And this is how they use the law to destroy lives in Ghana. And see, for a very long time, we made the judiciary look like, say, Nyankopon, we cannot question the judiciary. We cannot question their conduct. We cannot even question their biasness. And that is what some young judges who were actually growing up, that is the thing that was in their head. At a point, they felt to say, when I sit on a case, a journalist or an individual does not have the right to even question the way I conduct my court proceedings. At a point, judges were called by the General Legal Counsel about their conduct in court. And when journalists like us sit on TV and on radio to question the conduct of judges, the judges are able to say, hey, but the warrant at all. So that is how low our judiciary has become. And sometimes people forget. Those people who defend such things, they forget to say, this same court will be used against them. So when people like us sit and we start to question the credibility of some of our judges in Ghana, it is not personal. It is because of their conduct. It is because of what they do. It is because of the way they conduct themselves and how they treat people before them. I can take you back to Opuni's case. Justice Jackson Unyuga sat in court. Somebody purged himself. The judge said, let us go and come back. I will punish. And yet the person who has purged himself under oath, that is our legal system today. We live in a country where a whole Supreme Court had to go to UK to bring some black book to judge our elections. That is how low our judiciary has come. And it is not me. It is not about a judge sitting somewhere thinking that a young man like myself criticizing their actions and the way they conduct themselves in court. It is not about me. It is about we making sure the system works, making sure the people we have given. And yet, that to me, say among India, those people are doing what is right. Because if you don't have the right to criticize you as a judge, then it means we are giving you the free room, the free will to do damage. And that is what some judges want. They want to be democratically autocratic in Ghana. Listen, some judges in Ghana want to be democratically autocratic. They hide under the umbrella of judiciary to intimidate journalists, to intimidate open-minded criticism, and to intimidate the system. That is the pain that some people think that they can force on us in Ghana. So you get young judges who are so politically ambitious, who think they can do things to please political opponents, to put people in jail, and their conduct, their utterances clearly shows that they are rushing through cases. They are trying to please some people's ego. When we question their actions and their attitude, those judges become jittery and become pompous, and they think they can use the same office that we have given them to intimidate we, the people who have made them who they are. No, it is not going to work. And that is what I have been talking about years over years. Kennedy Agyapong sat on national television to tell a sitting judge live on national TV that you are warned. Warn a sitting judge. The Chief Justice then, Enini Yeboah, kept quiet. To date, Kennedy Agyapong did not pay for any of the utterances against every single judge, or the Supreme Court judges, High Court judges, the deliberate disrespect. So you sit in Ghana and some people think that it is personal. They think that the little power that they have been given, they can use that power to suppress we, the citizenry. We are not ready to quail in. And that does not do anything to us. Because what is right, what is wrong. And we are not going to move away from the principles and then making sure the right thing is done. We know so many judges in Ghana who were even the first 40 in their classes. They were not part of it, but they wanted to go to Supreme Court. They know themselves. Judge Chebafo is one. In his class as a judge, the 40 first student, brilliant student, 40 students who were considered to be smart, he wasn't even part of it. But he, at a point, wanted to go to the Supreme Court. After coming to meet senior lawyer judges because we have allowed, some of us need to understand, when you are given an opportunity to sit in our courtrooms, without due respect, you are not God. This is law. Take your feelings out. Take your affiliations out. Take your political affiliation, religious affiliations. Look at the case critically. Look at the evidence presented before you. Be honest to yourself and your God and the people who have invested that power in you. It is not to bully yourself your way through. No, it doesn't work like that. This is 2025, for crying out loud. It is not easy. You cannot just muscle your way through. Until we need to let the people understand. That is why some of us were calling for serious overhauling of our judiciary. And our judiciary needs serious overhauling, because from what we have seen over the years, what we have experienced, the kind of inconsistencies, the consistency in the inconsistencies in our courts, now in Ghana, we need to check it or this country will go down. And this government needs to take the most biggest, difficult, bitter pill when it comes to judiciary reforms. Serious reforms needs to be done. We cannot have judges who think or who believe or who in their senses feel too entitled to serve the people. It needs to end. I was say a sucha because we've been to me go to be board the keke near money 25 years. Na kwasi ampenyi bi mbo krono and Korea buy $50 million. Near and can't say plea bargain. No, it is not supposed to be like that. yen to me Ghana ni nkoto fiase 25 years say or ya hwiase or ya galamsey na Chinese ni di eye excavator gina mirem etu amena na ade abechi ade beko court say Chinese fo ni nyina ahye na judge atum. That needs to change. We cannot be slaves in our country. No. You, the judges that we have given opportunity and this opportunity to sit in our courtrooms, you are not supposed to turn we, the people who gave you the power, slaves. You can't do that. You need to be conscious about the things you do. Because today, the highest bidder walks in our courtrooms without anything, without shoes, spits shit in any courtroom, and they walk freely. Innocent people plead, get on their knees. We still put them behind bars because there's nobody to pay for them, there's nobody to speak for them. This should tell you something. The judgment Anas Arimiana Anas has gotten, they are very embarrassing about this whole thing was that Kennedy Agyapong winning defamation case against Anas or Ghana. No, he lifted that same case and brought it to the United States. A jury said that does not really hold. That is a slap in the face of our judiciary. It means that defamation case now Kennedy Agyapong winning or Ghana, no, basically the evidence that supports the case, no, is flawed. It means judge or tina case no or judges our case, no, that judge is not even supposed to be sitting in our courts again. And I am not saying that all the courts in America are perfect and they are next to God. No, but we are humans. So what the evidence back court with a jury of about 60. Now so much to me say it me rubbish a whole judgment. And like the lawyer was saying, when you win a defamation case, when there's a defamation case in another court, that defamation case now we win, you know, it cannot go and defend that defamation case in the next court. Every case is independent, stands on itself, and comes with its own evidence. So we need to get serious. And my message to the president, the new government, is that our court needs overhauling. Our court needs to be overhauled. We need serious reforms. I will say reform your courts. You know? The leadership, if they are not ready to work, we the people are willing to get people who are willing to work. I don't hate anybody. Yet now Ghana, a whole chief justice, a lawyer went to court and claimed that the chief justice had paid or taken $5 million bribe from a citizen in Yabua till date. This lawyer who basically was reporting his client's statement was haunted. A whole judiciary system was turned against a lawyer who was trying to get the truth out. And you all know NK say in Yabua $5 million or send the clients. Eka say $5 million on her, and the lawyer was just reporting what his client had told him. The lawyer ended up at the wrong side. The whole judiciary was set up against the lawyer. This lawyer went to the General Legal Counsel. The Chief Justice Edin Yabua then made sure he used the General Legal Counsel led by Sam Okujato to frustrate the system. This is where we are. I spent almost $300,000 to fight Kennedy Agyapong in federal court in America. $300,000. That is how much I spent. 4 lawyers, 2 backup, 2 face lawyers. Almost $300,000. All because I am using the facts to prove to Ghanaians that things happening in Ghana are lies. The politicians are manipulating the system. Some people are using fake news, misinformation, and people are suppressing the system. Almost for $300,000. I won the case for every single journalist in Ghana, every single journalist in Africa. Anas has won a groundbreaking case, defamation case, for journalists in Ghana, journalists around the world, journalists across Africa. But you get the same journalists, some of them in Ghana, ganging up against Anas. With all due respect, let me tell you, I am not here to defend Anas. Anas is human. He has his flaws. If you know Anas has done something or a crime against you, you have the right to take Anas to court. That is what I represent. But as far as I know, the allegations that were posed, the allegations that were mounted on Anas, the things that Anas was being tagged with, in court today, it has proven, or court has proven, say, none of the allegations against Anas, those allegations Kennedy Agyapong made, Anas being a thief, Anas being a murderer, Anas being a serial killer, Anas being a criminal, a co-conspirator, and all that, today in a court in New Jersey, a superior court, they are saying none of those things had basis. That is what I am looking at. I am not here to hold Anas' hand to heaven, because Anas is friend in Yankopona Miniho. Whatever Anas does, I have never been in any of Anas's meetings. My job here is to speak to the fact and what is on paper and what we know. And so you might have your own personal issues with Anas. It's his problem. It's your problem. If you have the legal means to go after him, go after him. But from what I know here, whatever was said against Anas at the end of the day has been proven that he is not guilty of the allegations of being a murderer, a thief, a criminal, a co-conspirator, and all that. At least we know the world knows today that whatever Kennedy Agyapong said was a lie. That is what I'm looking at. So if you have an issue with me and saying, Anas, that you are protecting, I am not protecting Anas. I've not been able to protect myself. How do I protect Anas? But I will defend Anas with the fact, because at least from court, we know around the world that Anas Arimya Anas is not a murderer. He's not a killer. Anas is not a liar. He's not a thief. Those are the basics you need to understand. And anything I make a will say, that Fred now or what Massachusetts may sue $10 million. I want to send a message to you, those people in America. Mochi Maika, Mochi Mufuna, Namotemoka, Motatam Hokakankwasi. I want to use that Fred to send a message